Hello and welcome to Two Car Pros. Today we're going to be showing you how to replace your headlight bulbs and the lens and the housing. So the lens and housing all come out as one piece. So in order to get to the bulb, it's a lot easier to just take the headlight out and then take the bulb out of the headlight assembly. So I'm making this one video. So we'll be doing two repairs at once, replacing the headlight bulbs and replacing the headlight lens. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So the first thing we can do is assess the situation here. Now, I know I'm probably going to get about 100 comments saying that you don't have to take the housing out, but you do, because the light bulb, you can see the connector down there, if this was less in the way, but you see that little green thing there I'm pointing to? That's actually the back of the bulb. So good luck trying to get your hand in there, and there's no way to access it from behind here as well. This is the passenger side, in case you were wondering. So we have to take this lens out, which is not that hard, and it's going to be 100 times easier to just take the lens out than try to fish down there, and you'd have to take this off anyway. So yeah, it looks like we're gonna take this lens out. So the next thing we need to do is remove this plastic screw here that holds on this air funnel. That's what I'm gonna call it. It kind of directs air towards the AC condenser. So we need to remove it. I'm pretty sure it's just like a regular body clip. Okay, so mine is stripped in here, so I'm just going to get a body clip puller to take it out. You can also do this with a standard screwdriver. So it kind of worked its way out. The threads are all ruined on this screw. Oh yeah, there's your problem right there. So it's all snapped off, so the threads aren't going to catch on that, and the threads are not in good shape either. So this is junk. I'm just going to throw this away. I'm going to get my set of body clips to replace it. I'll show that when I get to it, and I'll also link down to it in the description. I think it's like $12 on Amazon, and it's totally worth it. So this is no good. I got to throw this away. There we go. So now we have access to the bolts that hold the lens to the truck. Okay, now we can start removing the bolts. This is a 10mm right here. There's 3 that holds the lens on. So here is the first one on top. We can put that away. Okay, the next 2 bolts are this one here and this one down here. And again, they're 10mm. Okay, and there you go. All the bolts that hold the headlight in place are removed, so now we can remove the headlight itself. Okay, so now we can remove the headlight, and there's a little tab. There's a little tab up here you can pull up. This is kind of like a final safety. There we go. So now we're on the back side of the headlight. Okay, so here's what the back side of the headlight looks like. When I was removing it, I was fighting this metal clip here. So this metal clip you just pull straight out with, and it releases from the body. Now while we're here, we need to unplug our headlight bulb here. You just pinch that safety and remove it. And you just do the same with this side indicator. Okay, so to remove the side indicator light, you just push down really easy on that and it releases. So that's what the safety looks like just there. Kind of hard to show, but that's okay. Now we can remove the blinker. There we go. That's removed. Now, if you're just doing the headlight bulb, you don't need to unplug both of those. You could just turn this to get your headlight bulb out and replace it and put it all back together, no problem. So those of us who've joined us just for the headlight bulb, there you go. You just put that back in and you're good to go. Make sure you wear gloves so you don't touch the light bulb with your skin, so your skin oil doesn't get on it. That could cause problems. But for those of you who are continuing on with me, let's go ahead and compare this to our new headlight lens and see if it's a match. Okay, so now we can compare our replacement unit, which is this one over here on the right, and our original unit here on the left, As you can see, there's a lot more oxidation. It's not as new because it's not on this one. Now, the units I have here did not come with a headlight. I don't know if that's typical or not, but if it is, we can take the old headlight out of our old assembly and put it in our new one. So we can turn our old headlight to the left, or you could just buy new headlight bulbs while you're at it. It's not a bad choice. Now, as I stated earlier, make sure not to touch the glass part of the lens with your human skin. Always wear gloves when you're doing this kind of a thing, and be gentle with it. And insert it back into the housing here, and then turn it to the right until you hear that nice click, and we should be good to go. So now we can plug in everything we unplugged earlier. So we got that indicator in there. We can do the headlight and the other indicator. The electrical connectors only go on one way, so if it's not going, try flipping it over. Okay, so a little bit of a problem with this electrical connector and the turn signal. This is made a little too big to go into this housing. I actually ended up splitting mine a little bit, you see that? So I'm gonna have to be a little smart about this one. So if yours isn't going, it might be because this one is made a little bit too big, but for the price, I think I can use the old housing. So what I've done here is got the old housing from the bulb I know works, and I just put the new bulb in it, so this should fit. Yeah, and it does. Like a glove. So that's good. Okay. So before we bolt these in, I'm setting the adjustment here. This is a 4mm socket on the end of the adjuster screw here. And when I screw them in or out, it makes the headlight look up or down. So if you turn it to the right, the headlight wants to look down more. And if you turn it to the left, the headlight wants to look up more. But there's a little bit of a cheat sheet we can do before we make our final adjustment, which we can do when it's all bolted in. I just want to get these a little bit more right because this was extended fully and was actually touching some of the subframe. So I'm doing this now before I get anything concrete, and we can look to the old headlight for guidance. And you can even do this out of the car. I just like making my life difficult. So here we go. And what I'm basically looking at is this surface here, this cone here, in relation to its housing, and it looks like it's basically parallel. And you can see that ours is looking up a bit. So we want to look like, that's better. So you see this line here is parallel to this line now. So it should be a little bit more correct. Now, it won't be dead nuts on, I'm pretty sure. So once we get it outside and we park away from like a garage door or something, we can do the final adjustment with a wrench later. Okay, and we're putting the headlight in, making sure that lines up, and then we can put the headlight back kind of into that safety we had earlier. It's like that. Put that back down in there. Looks pretty good. Now before we go any further, let's go ahead and make sure everything works. Make sure the headlight works. And that functions too, so that's also good. Now we can replace the bolts. Now these really don't have a torque spec. I know someone's gonna ask, but just tight's good. I mean, you're holding plastic to metal, so don't crush it to death. If you really need a torque spec, you gotta do something like 10 foot-pounds, something kind of gentle, but you know, tight enough. There we go, that looks pretty good. Yeah, it looks a lot better. All right, now we can replace this air funnel. I got a little rubber cover piece here. And we can go get my box of body clips. Okay, so I have this Dorman GM Chrysler body hardware kit, and I know this is a Ford. I can hear you typing already. But a lot of body clips are very, very similar, if not the same. I mean, here's one that even looked really similar to the one I took out. See, it kind of has the threads in there and stuff, but I am going to opt for one that you don't have to screw in and out because I'm just going to have to remove it anyway. So I'm just going to try to match up the diameter of the hole. So I'm going to pick a trim panel retainer, but it's smaller, and try to match that diameter of the hole. And it looks like this one works. If you're really curious, it is a 700-368 trim panel retainer. If you want the exact one I used, which works absolutely perfect. And if you put a little dirt on there, look, it looks factory now, right? So I'm about 10 feet away from my garage door here, maybe a little bit further. And you can see that the lights aren't that off. They're just a little high, especially the right ones. So I'm going to keep turning that adjustment screw to the right until I get them just a little bit lower. They're still a teeny bit high. Okay, I've dropped both of them down considerably. So I think that will be good. Now, the only way I'm really going to be able to test this is if I'm on a long road. So this is more of an art than a science. So if it looks a little high, it probably is. You can go ahead and drop them. Or if they look a little low, go ahead and raise them. Just use that adjuster screw until you're happy with where the beams go. So that's how to replace your headlight bulbs in assembly, or lens if you want to call it that, in your 2005 Ford F-150. This is a pretty easy job that anybody could do in a garage or driveway with a 10mm socket. It was pretty straightforward. I used Autosaver 88 headlights for the job, which seemed to work great. I've been driving around a couple days now with them. I also want to put these pictures up here on the screen now because I know I'm going to get people that don't really understand what I meant by it's kind of an art over a science. So if you're someone that's really, really particular on specifics and details, here's an awesome descriptions on how to set your headlight levels exactly to what the manufacturer said. I got these from Ford, so there you go. Personally, I think I set mine a little bit high. I got out and I adjusted them a little bit lower so they weren't blinding people, but that's kind of the nice part about setting your headlights yourself because you can adjust them for what your preferences are. And I know I'm going to get some people saying there's laws and you can't point them in certain directions and stuff. I know. Just use some common sense. And, you know, if you live in the country, you can have them a little bit higher. If you live in the city, a little bit lower. That's kind of it. Well, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll catch you next time.